ready to survive and advance on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. Survive and Advance is brought to you by Replenishing Care, the future of sports medicine. If you want to find out more about Replenishing Care and their PEMF machine, make sure you go to thegruelingtruth.net, click on the banner. It'll take you and let you know everything you need to know about Replenishing Care. I'm your host for the show, Mike Goodpaster, and right now, as always, I want to welcome my co-host. Played in the 1981 National Championship game, combined for 26 points with Isaiah Thomas to win a national championship, and a member of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. Help me welcome to the show, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Doing great today, Mike. What a special show we have today, and this is going to be a fun one for everybody. This is a real treat, what we're going to get to do today. So looking forward to the next 15, 20 minutes of discussion.
Yeah, and
Then I have to go back to talking to you.
Yeah.
It all goes downhill from there.
Oh, you love talking to me. You know you do, Steve. Just chill out. Steve calls me like every day. If I don't call Steve, he'll send me messages like, "Are you mad at me? I miss you." So I don't even want to hear that, Steve. Our guest today is one of the first men that me and Matt Andrews-Scavage interviewed on our Legends of the NFL show. We had this man on because I thought it was absolutely criminal that he wasn't in the Hall of Fame, and now he is. He is one of the greatest linebackers in NFL history, played for the Love You Blue Houston Oilers. Dr. Doom, help me welcome to the Grueling Truth, Robert Brazile. How you doing, Robert?
Man, it's such a good feeling, man. Thank you so much. I want to say before we get started, for all the work and the campaign that you did to get me where I'm at today, man. You know, kudos to you and your family. My family will never forget you, man, because you were one of the first ones that stayed kept me out there for pushing me, getting me to the hall. And thanks again from the bottom of my heart. And it's a wonderful day down here in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah,
Robert, don't do that, because I have to do a show with him tomorrow. And if you start praising him like that, I'm never going to be able to live with him again.
but honestly, I'm telling the truth, man. This guy stayed.
I know you are.
You know, he kept my name out there. You know, he was saying, you know, he kept the word deserved. I told him, don't use that word deserved. You know, I know I played my tail off, I played my butt off, and I left everything on the field. And I told him that. But I know it's so many other guys that's out there is so deserving to be in the Hall of Fame also. All I want to do is to get my shot. And, you know, with him out there saying Robert should be, Robert deserves to go, and somebody heard that holler. Somebody heard that cry. And, you know, the senior Hall of Fame committee voted me in, but it was people like him that kept my name out there because, you know, my team, the Houston Oilers, don't exist no more.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say you gave him the canvas and the paint to work with, Robert. So, and he just put something together for you, but it all came from your efforts. So, with that, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah,
you're a football guy. Talk to this guy.
I appreciate the kind words, Robert. This is something that should have been happening a long time ago, though. And the thing that stood out to me when me and Matt interviewed you the first time around was when you made the comment at the end of the show that you just hoped that if it happened, that your mom would be there when it happened. And the great thing is, 3 years later, your mom and dad are still there. And I know that your mom and dad were your heroes growing up in life, which so many kids don't have anymore. You want to talk about what it was like when you let your parents know exactly what was going on?
When we talked, man, it was back, like you say, 3 years ago. And since then, other things in my life had happened. You know, my mom was one of my biggest coaches. He was one of my biggest fans. But my dad also. You know, my name is Robert Brazile Jr., and my dad named me that, he said, for a reason, because he wanted me to make that name big and wanted to make it strong, wanted everybody to recognize the name Robert Brazile. Since then, Mike, I had, you know, when I got to knock on the door, I had to make a decision for a person to present me, you know, and my dad has been through some things that, you know, as a son, when you know your dad got cancer and he's fighting cancer, and you got something on the inside of saying, I don't know if I want to put so much pressure on him by saying, Dad, I want you to present me, or all I want you to do is to get well. I want you to be there at the Hall of Fame when I get, show my bus or get you mind slide and speak. I just really want you there. But I decided one day we was having him up, and he was on his way up to the house. My mom, and my dad. My dad got real sick. He got real sick on the drive because he had some chemo done, and he just messed up a Cadillac. We had to actually get rid of that Cadillac. And I took him on the inside. And, my dad's a proud man, and, we've probably never seen each other naked. And for me to have to bathe him and to clean him up, and I could think of one thing. I looked him right in his eyes. I said, hey, Dad, you got to get well. He said, I'm well. I said, no, you know. I said, you really got to get well. He said, why? I said, because, Baum is not here. So who else going to present me other than you? Can you present me at the Hall of Fame? And, man, he gave me a look that every son needs to see or feel that I got from him that day. From that day, his life changed. And he's been fighting. He remorsed off his cancer. I mean, we can't tell. This man is so excited. I can't tell him that he's going to be in the parade because he may end up trying to buy some moon pies or this is too big for him, man. So, so with that in mind, man, all I want them to do is get to Canton.
Yeah, and when you talk about Canton, you got some of your teammates already there waiting on you guys, like Elvin Bethea, Curly Culp, Earl Campbell. What has been the outpouring you've gotten from your former teammates? Because there's no Houston Oilers anymore, but this is a way that Oiler name and the Love You Blue continues on.
Well, I got to say two things on that because they've all been so supportive. They've all, lobbied for me. They all talk good. Everyone said, this is the last piece of the puzzle off of the defense that should be in the Hall of Fame for the Houston Oilers, and I'm that piece. And Earl has done what he needed to do. Warren, I ain't even go further. We had a toast 2 weekends ago down. They toasted and roasted me down in Houston, which was a sellout crowd. And these guys didn't burn me bad, but they kind of set a fire up under my tail to say we are so happy. The good thing that they was telling me about, you're finally going in, and we wanted you there for years, and they're all so happy, man. They're a real, real happy group of guys.
All right, Steve.
Hey, Robert, talk about this real quick. Is it the moment when you know that you're being nominated? They told you that, but tell people what it's like to get that phone call and what goes through your mind when they call you and say, "Congratulations, Mr. Hall of Fame." What was your day like, thought process like, and what did you do in the next 15 minutes of your life?
Well, it's actually not a phone call. When I went up to the Super Bowl, we had 2 or 3 events that you go to. They bring in 18 finalists, and this has got to be one of the scariest times in my life because I've never been a finalist. This is the first time for me to be a finalist and to be a senior finalist. I looked down to my right. I said, well, we got some good ball players. I'm looking that way. I looked down to my left. I said, Lord have mercy. That's 2 good linebackers standing over there, Urlacher and Ray Lewis. And I'm standing in the middle of all this, and I really got scared. And when the guys broke the numbers down from the thousands of guys that play college ball and the thousands of guys that play professional ball and the hundreds of guys on the 300 or some numbers that are in the Hall of Fame. And out of this 18, 8 of y'all going to make it. That means 10 people had to go home.
Right.
You're talking about butt tightening, and it was. Then they tell you got to go to your room that Saturday morning and wait for a knock on the door.
The knock on the door.
One of the longest Saturdays I spent. My wife, I witnessed my wife at the peephole looking at that peephole for 3 hours trying to see if I was going to get that knock. I could hear people up and down the hall moving, but until the guy, Dave Baker, knocks on your door, you don't know if you're either going to go home to the Hall of Fame. So it was quite an excitement. It's scary. It's scary because you're saying I'm this close. Am I going home or am I going to make it this year? Because this was my first time being the finalist, and I was, but the thing about it, someone there kept saying they was going to take 2 senior Hall of Famers. And Jerry Kramer and myself were the only 2 seniors there. So I said, well, I hope they keep their word and take the 2 senior Hall of Famers. That means I'll make one of them spots, I hope, because there weren't but 2 of us there. But it was quite an experience and very, very scary because you don't know which way it's going to go because you got the other 80% of the voters to vote for you.
So was the Hall of Fame to you, was it a goal or a target your entire career, or was it a reward and just an honor that you got for all the work and effort you put into it and the leadership you provided for your team? I mean, was it something you shot toward, like, in my list of goals, Hall of Fame's on that list, or was it just like you woke up and go, what I did paid off and this is my reward now?
No, I guess during the 10 years that I played, professional football, that wasn't one of the things that was on my agenda, one of my goals. I think in my 11th year, when the Houston Oilers was out in Canton, we was going to play in the Hall of Fame game, and something happened, and I can't tell you guys what happened, but I wanted the Hall of Fame from that day on. But I can't tell you. You got to wait and listen. You got to listen to the speech, and you'll understand what I'm talking about.
I'm listening now. But, I'm going to listen.
No, but it would all come out at the Shrineman speech. But that was the only time I set my goals that I wanted to be in the Hall of Fame because that was the first time I experienced being at the Hall of Fame and felt the emotions and felt the thrills you just feel the history at that hall when you play football, when you walk through and you see those busts and you see these guys that you idolize yourself. You say, well, I wonder if did I do enough to make it? That was my thought. Did I leave it on the field or if I need to do a little bit more? And I never had a chance to do it anymore because that was my last game I ever played was at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And that's my next question. And this is probably a stupid one. But have you ever been to Canton? Have you been to the Hall of Fame yet and seen it?
Yes, twice.
Twice, yeah, I've been there too. I took my son there.
Yeah.
And that place, you walk in the door, you get chills immediately.
I mean, don't you? The last time I was there, I went out for orientation, and knowing that I was going to be there, only the person I wanted to see and talk to, I want to walk right up to Walter's bus. And I can close my eyes and feel that you said thank you for all you have done for me. Yeah. I'm talking about Walter Payton, my college roommate and other people that I have always analyzed, like Willie Lanier and all these guys, Buckers. I was a great fan of these guys. Now to say that Robert Brazile is going to be there, I'm on the way there. I ain't there yet. But I'm on the way there.
You're the 2 greatest rooms since you got elected. So.
You're there now. Yeah, you're there. So the 2 greatest rooms are the bus room. The bus room is phenomenal, and the bling room with all the rings. Yeah, you see all the development of the ring. Oh my God, how much jewels you think are in that room? See every one of the Super Bowl rings they've ever given. It's just phenomenal. If you haven't gone. And Mike, I don't know if you've been there or not.
I've been to Canton to coach an indoor or an arena football game, but I have never been to the Hall of Fame. I wanted to go because Robert was going, but the NFL keeps ignoring me on the credentialing. And I keep telling them, hell, we had credentials at the NCAA basketball tournament. You got to give us to us. But so far, no good, but I'm still trying.
It's worth the $50 out of your pocket to go pay and go in and be a normal fan once in your life. Idiot.
It's such a thrill. It's such a thrill. I can't wait for my family. My mom has been such a fan for the NFL, and some of the people my dad has worked with the Senior Bowl, and he's met a lot of guys. Most of the guys at the hall won't ask me, is your dad going to be here? And I'm saying, yeah, he's going to present me. They can't wait to see my dad. They don't want to see me. They want to see my daddy.
Isn't that great? That's great.
And I assume outside of your parents, another guy that we wish could be there, that should have a bust in there, is Bum Phillips, who was one of the most innovative defensive coaches in NFL history. The things he did with the 3-4 with you were a precursor to what Bill Belichick and Bill Parcells did with Lawrence Taylor in New York. You want to talk about Bum Phillips a little bit?
Well, Baum, Baum is going into the Hall. I told him that the day when they announced it and they had the honors night, I had on Baum, before he died, he had sent me a belt buckle. And all he put on there was, "I love you, Robert." And I cherished that buckle like if it was him. And he would, when I do my enshrinement speech, I would probably show you that buckle because that's Baum being at the Hall, which needs to have a bus near me somewhere. But Baum would be there. Baum meant so much to me and to the guys that he coached, man. You don't have too many fathers in to be in your life, and Baum I consider as being one of my fathers that led me down the right way and wanted the best for me, not only for me and my family. Baum had an open ear and a heart for all of us.
Yeah, and I would think with the Oilers being gone and you guys coming up short twice against the Steelers in the Super Bowl, or not to get to the Super Bowl, that a lot of people tell me, well, the ring, winning the Super Bowl is more important than a Hall of Fame. I don't see how that's possible because there's only a few hundred people that are in the Hall of Fame. And I once again, from everybody at the Grueling Truth, myself, Matt Andrew Scavage, Steve, of course, everybody, we just want to congratulate you on reaching the ultimate that any football player could ever achieve.
It's football heaven. It is surely football heaven for me and my family, and I'm taking in a lot of people on my shoulders, in my heart, and with me because it's not just me going into the Hall, man. I told these guys that are not there, my ex-teammates and brothers of the league, that, when I go, you go. So that's because you was a part of me, the Teddy Washington, these guys that, the other outside linebacker, the Greg Binghams, and these people that I played with. These guys, made me great because we played as a team. I mean, this is an individual award, but to me, it's a team award when I say I'm going into the Hall of Fame. I'm taking the Houston Oilers with me.
Yeah, and
but Robert, all great football players say the same thing, and people go in the Hall of Fame. They always say, "I'm representing my team by going in. I'm going in for my team and players." And it just makes me so proud to hear you speak that way and not just say, "I did this, but you understand the value of the guys that supported you and worked with you that may never get a buzz.
Yeah.
But it's so great that you talk about the guys who are going in there spirit with you.
That started years ago, man. When I told you my mom was my first coach, she said, "You're not representing just Robert Brazile Jr. You got Victor Brazile, Joseph Brazile, and everybody in this community that you're representing. So you go out and do your best because what you do is going to reflect on, your people, your family, and everybody else in your community." So, and one thing that I learned, my Uncle Odell told me a long time ago, and he's a baseball player. He said, "Ain't no iron team." There's no iron team, baby.
The thing that stood out to me, Robert, was I've interviewed a bunch of your teammates, Dan Pastorini, Stimrick, a lot of these guys. Greg Bingham. I've had a lot of these guys on the show, and that was the prevailing thing that I've got from talking to these guys was just the love that team had for each other.
It was unbelievable. Baum started that love, and I think it carried. He said we win as a team and lose as a team. And you know what he always told us? We never did, like some people had a good physical practice against each other because Baum said the Houston Oilers is not on our schedule. We play everybody else in the NFL, but the Houston Oilers are not on our schedule. So why we beat up on each other?
Yeah.
Great. That's a great comment.
I mean, Bum Phillips was the first coach that really did that, too, I think. I mean, he didn't kill you in training camp. He didn't have guys, I used to go watch Forrest Gregg when he coached the Bengals. Forrest Gregg, great coach. But those practices were so physical, you'd see 3 or 4 fights every practice. But
Right.
when you look at Bum Phillips, that's why I think he belongs in the Hall, because this is a man that loved his players. And, Robert, I know you've coached football before, too. The easiest way to get guys to play for you is if they know that you care for them.
That is so true. I mean, I have guys that I have coached since I've been out of the league. I mean, I came back home and worked at my alma mater. And, I hate to, a lot of people don't know this. We got almost 20 guys out of my high school that I have actually that have went through Viger, that's been to the pros. And these guys always say, Coach, your words was more than your practice, because the way I talked to them, the way I treated them, because I got that from Baum. Baum always told you want the best, to get the best out of the person is to treat them fair and treat them right. And that's been my motto, not just only in football, in life also, So I'm happy to know this guy, and I'm hoping that I'll be lobbying when I do get in the Hall. Can we save a spot up here for Baum Phillips? Baum Phillips needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Didn't Willie Anderson go there, too?
Yeah, Willie Anderson. I talked Willie Anderson. Willie Anderson was in the Willie Anderson broke my son's leg. He fell on it.
Hey, Willie Anderson's a guy that should be in the Hall of Fame, too. He was one of the best right tackles for 15 years.
And still doing a great job with his training and coaching that he's doing around here. He just left Mobile and he did some free camps. And I sit and watched him what he was telling these guys. And I'm saying, okay, Willie, you're trying to teach him how to block me, right? But I'm going to put something new in the game.
All right, Robert. I know you're a busy man. Said we'd only keep you 15. We've kept you 22. But anytime, we would love to have you back after you get inducted, too, so we can talk about what that weekend was like for you.
I want to tell you how good that jacket feels. I've been waiting on my jacket. Yeah. They supposed to sit my jacket here for me to try it on for size, but, UPS hasn't bought it yet, so I'm looking for UPS anytime this week to bring my jacket to me. I want to try it on.
Hey, Mike,
Yeah.
you want me to send him off with my rendition of the Houston Oilers fight song?
No, we're fine.
Houston Oilers, Houston Oilers,
Houston Oilers,
Houston
Oilers, number one.
Yeah,
right.
That's it. They used
Robert,
to sing that damn song all the time in Monday Night Football, and it's like, oh my God, really? And I got that song; it's still stuck in my head.
Robert,
So
I can tell you this: whether I'm there or on TV, I will be watching. Yeah, I don't always watch the Pro Football Hall of Fame induction, but I couldn't be happier for you. And there's nobody that I think has put on a helmet that deserves this more than you.
Before you go, I know y'all probably seen and heard some different things, but I think the message in the song that I'm going to sing in the enshrinement is totally different that you ever heard anyone ever gave an enshrinement speech. It's going to be something that you say, wow. He said, oh, okay. That's how my speech going to hit you.
So are you bringing that up because you want Steve to come up and do a duet with you?
No, I want him to be there at the house, so we're having a hell of a party after this enshrinement.
All right. Sounds like fun.
And I definitely want to have you back. And as soon as we get a picture of you in your jacket, we will post it on our site and for everybody to see. And we got to have you back after the ceremony and everything, so you can just equate to people what the day's going to be like for you. It's going to be special. I don't think you have any idea what you're in for. And I know you think you're in for a big thing. It's going to be fabulous. We couldn't be prouder of you. Great job.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Y'all have a great day. And like I say, I'm at the end of the phone if you need me for anything. If I can help you, I can give you the honest answer. Yes, I can do it, or no, I cannot do it. Well, we could try tomorrow and try to do it.
Hey, Robert, I may be looking for new co-hosts here pretty soon, so keep the phone close to you.
Why's that?
All right,
Steve,
man.
did you get a show that I didn't know about? Hey, thanks a lot, Robert.
Thanks, Robert. Congratulations.
It's been a blast.
All right. Guys, we'll be back right after this short 40-second break for PEMF, Replenishing Care. We'll be back right after this.
Replenishing Technologies helps athletes of all levels train, recover, and perform at their absolute best. We do this by offering the PEMF 120, the world's leading pulsed electromagnetic field therapy device. Workouts, injury, and stress cause cells to lose their natural power. PEMF works like a battery charger, helping cells regain the power needed to dump toxins, take in oxygen and nutrients, and repair. 95% of athletes report less pain, increased range of motion, more energy, and they simply feel better after using PEMF 120. If you'd like to count yourself among that group, contact us at www.replenishingtechnologiesinc.com.
All right, guys, we're back on Survive in Advance. I'm Mike Goodpaster with my co-host, Steve Risley. I don't know what to say after that. Robert Brazile.
I don't either.
Robert Brazile was one of the best football players I've ever seen, and for the last 3 years, I've realized that he may be a better man than he was a football player, even.
You've talked to him before, but I just took away what a humble man he is, and how genuinely appreciative he is to get this opportunity, and he's getting his reward. And I mean, that was by far the funnest conversation I've ever had, and with a professional athlete who is so unself-centered on himself. And it comes across so genuinely. And, you can't but love this guy and wish great things for him. And we've got to have him back. And because we only tapped on the stories he has to tell, and listening to the first time you interviewed him. I mean, and he's going to come back with such a level of enthusiasm. And I say, and I don't know this from experience, but I just can imagine the day he's going to be bigger than he's ever dreamed it's going to be. And it's a lot of pressure on his dad to get up there and introduce him. That's not an easy thing to do. But I am going to watch. I'm going to watch his entire speech, his entire ceremony, and it's, because you have a personal connection now.
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead, and we got a little new thing that we're going to do every Monday, and that's going to be me and Steve calling some BS on some things. And Steve, you want to start off?
Yeah, BS. We were a little segment we're going to do just called I Call BS on this. And the first one I'm going to do is last night, if any of you watched the History Channel's farce into reliving the exploits of Evel Knievel, Travis Pastrana. And I want to say, I don't want to take anything away from Travis Pastrana. Travis Pastrana is a great athlete. He is the pinnacle of what he does. Extreme sports, motocross daredevil, but it was really a disservice, in my opinion, last night, what they took 3 hours to do, to have him recreate 3 of Evel Knievel's. Probably most of our listeners probably weren't alive or weren't aware enough at that point in time to watch Evel. You and I both watched him do all these jumps live. But to come out and basically he's in the air for 15 seconds total time, take 3 hours to do it, on equipment, with technology and everything so different than what Evel did. And basically he made all 3 jumps look easy. The only thing that was going to fail that night was going to be if his bike shut off on the ramp as he was, 10 feet from the end of the ramp and going. It was so precise, so articulate, so unlike what Evel did, who in the documentary for Seeing That, Evel said basically, an hour before the Wembley jump, he was doing shots of wild turkey and hitting 5 irons across the Thames River with Frank Gifford. And these guys go in and have custom bikes built. While it looked like one of Evel's bikes, Evel drove bikes off the showroom floor at Harley Davidson, had the gas tank painted red, white, and blue, stiffened up his shocks a little bit, and took it out and ran it pretty much as a stock bike. And, these guys are doing it with custom-made carbon fiber frame bikes. Indian is the name that was on the logo. It wasn't even Harley Davidson. And I just think it was a disservice to the exploits of it was great stunt work. I understand that. It was a made-for-TV, made-for-money event. But to me, it was just a real disservice to Evel Knievel and the true spirit of daredevil that he was and the pioneer he was in creating that whole environment for a Travis Pastrana to survive. I'd rather that Travis had just done his own thing and said, we pay homage to Evel who started this all for us rather than trying to recreate the whole thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the thing is this: where was Robbie? Because I watched Robbie. I think it was on HBO in 1989, due to Caesar's Palace jump. And the thing that got me, and I didn't watch much of it. I watched the jumps because I kind of figured they're doing a jump every hour, so they can string it out as long as they can. And by watching it, Johnny Knoxville's a moron. The guys that were doing
we know
this
that.
were so bought and paid for. They're so excited. There was nothing exciting about it to me. When I look at the jumps, they're nothing like what Evil did because, like you said, the bike was different. They could say that it's the same all they want, but the only thing Evil Knievel that I remember on Wild World of Sports was that he would say, I got to get up to like 82 miles an hour when I hit this to be able to make the jump. And hell, if you remember with Evil's bikes, when they landed, I mean, usually he'd break the bike right there. I mean, there was a lot of times where the bike would break, even on the jumps he made.
Yeah.
And to sit there, it's kind of like putting a throwback uniform on the first baseman for the Pirates now. He's still not Willie Sturgill.
Exactly.
Travis Pastrana,
what a great analogy.
Travis Pastrana is great at what he does, but he'll never be Evil Knievel. You know, it's just like an Elvis impersonator. You could be the greatest Elvis impersonator in the world, but you're still not Elvis Presley. So
and you shouldn't. You did him a disservice. I think you really, truly, in my eyes, did Evil a disservice last night. Now, if you watched it, and I taped it, there was an incredible documentary done by Dick House Productions, which is Johnny Knoxville's production company, about the life of Evil, and that was wonderful. I mean, I watched that after the jumps, and that was, if you want to learn about Evil Knievel and how brave and silly this man was, Google up the documentary that Dick House Productions did. I just like to be able to say Dick House on the radio without getting in trouble. Like so it's all that, you know, anybody can name it. It's legitimate, so they can't get on us. But the documentary about Evil was fabulous. But I called BS on Travis Pastrana and History Channel for orchestrating that. It was made for money, made for TV, to stretch it 3 hours. Where basically, like I said, the bike wasn't in the air probably for 15 seconds total time. And to say that was anywhere near the level of bravery that what Evil did in his day is just a slap in the face of the legend of Evil Knievel. And I wasn't appreciative of it.
All right.
It's my opinion. I'm sticking to it.
Next up. Phil
BS
Mickelson and Tiger Woods. Go, Steve.
Yeah, let me tell you about that. You know, and I'm a golfer, and I love the game, and I've loved both those guys. You know, I grew up. I mean, they grew up in front of me. Watched their careers from Phil, first one, and as a college player in Arizona at the Tucson Open, beat my favorite golfer time, Bob Tway, but he didn't take the paycheck because he was an amateur. He's still playing college golf at ASU, and then watching Tiger win, his first tournament, coming out with Hello World. And now these guys come out now, and they're talk about this made-for-television $10 million grudge match. Okay, I call BS. I say BS because they're working out sponsorships right now, which means this. They ain't putting that $10 million up out of their own pockets. They're going to, again, it's kind of like the Pastrana deal. It's going to be a made-for-television event to profit off of, so everybody gets fat and happy. And neither one of them have to write a check. They're only going to collect a check one way or another. I say you want to make this a real event. Have a ceremony. Have Tiger pull out his checkbook and Phil pull out his checkbook. Each of them write a check for $5 million and have it deposited into an escrow account coming out of their money, and they're going to play for their own money. Then it takes on some meaning. But this whole farce of putting it on television, when they're both going to get rich, there's nothing at stake here for these guys. $10 million is a drop in the bucket for those guys. I mean, we hate to say that, and it's unrealistic in our world, but in their world, they're both almost billionaires. If they're not, $10 million is like you and me betting for $100. That's probably an overstatement. $100 probably means more to us than $10 million means to them. But I call BS on this. Again, don't do it. Put your own money up. Make it gritty. Make it hard. Go play. And win or lose, your own money. And then watch what these guys do and see what the Pumpkin Factor is all about.
Yeah, but the bad
Mike,
thing
what your thoughts?
the kind of shape golf's in ratings-wise, this will probably do more to help golf than it will to hurt, at least for one day, because you're probably going to have more people watch that than watch a tournament. But the problem is, the next week when they go back, Phil and Tiger are probably still going to be struggling to make the cut.
Well, it's the same as the Pastrana thing. To me, it's like it's a made-for-television event for some network, some agents, and somebody to get fat and rich off of, and it's not genuine. And just as Pastrana's actions last night. I mean, yeah, he did the jumps, but they were easy jumps with the equipment, and there's nothing easy about jumping a motorcycle over buses. I get that, but at his level of competency, it's easy jump. At our level, we'd be dead before we got to the ramp. But it's the same with golf. These guys, it will be watched. It'll be probably the biggest non-major golf event watched throughout the year this year, if it happens, along with the Ryder Cup. But I call BS on these guys because if they're truly not entertainers, but truly sportsmen and truly competitive athletes, which they want to be called, want to be recognized as, then they put money out of their own pocket and play, and that mistake's going to cost you out of your wallet, not some sponsor's wallet.
All right.
Who's going to double back his money.
I got one for you. The World Cup, I call BS. And this is why I call BS. All right? I don't get playing the semifinals of the biggest match in the world, and you're going to settle it on penalty kicks. And I know penalty kicks are exciting, but it's kind of like the Super Bowl being tied at the end of the game. So then you're going to take the Eagles kicker and a Patriots kicker and have them just kick field goals until one of them misses and then the other team wins. I don't see hockey. You have that where you have a tie in the regular season. They'll have a shootout to decide the game, or it'll end up in a tie. But in the playoffs, I remember watching in 1987 the Washington Capitals and the New York Islanders play 7 periods of hockey to decide a Game 7. And it's the way it should be. I mean, the winner should be the best team. The game should be played like the game is supposed to be played. I could see in the preliminary rounds where you have a shootout because they got to play games so close together. But let's face it, Croatia and Russia played on, Saturday? And they're not playing again until 5 days later. Let them play the game out, Steve.
Well, I've watched, for the first time, I've watched a couple of the soccer, man, and I disagree, Mike. I think they had 90 minutes to settle the game. Okay, they had 90 minutes to determine who was the better team, and when you can't do it, and the teams are that close, I think then the shootout becomes a compelling story. If it was, they just did the shootout and didn't play the first 90 minutes, or in the case of, I think the game won this weekend, one went to 120 minutes because they actually give you a 20-minute overtime period before they do the shootout. So I think it was actually, it's a 30-minute overtime period. So they did 90 minutes, and then they did another 30 minutes, and there still was no score. And then they did the shootout. So they basically gave you 2 hours to win the game. Okay. And at that point, you got to stop it somewhere. And what's more compelling at that point?
I've seen hockey games that literally started at 7 o'clock and ended at 3 in the morning. And this is the thing. When I watch sports, what I want to see is I want to see heart and I want to see will. I want to see people impose their will on somebody else. I want to see the person that wins be the person that wants it the most. That when everything, you're dog-ass tired, you can't do anything anymore, but still you somehow figure out how to continue on. And I just don't get it. I mean, I really don't think it's the way you finish it. In basketball, Cincinnati and Bradley played an 8 overtime game one time. The game needs to be finished the way it started. That's just my opinion. I know that most people probably agree with you, but you and most people are probably wrong here.
Yeah, and the only thing I say is that in defense of the way it plays out versus your theory, what you end up with probably more times than not, after 120 minutes of running up and down that field, people end up getting so tired they make crucial mistakes because they're just tired.
Exactly.
And so you want somebody to win because another team lost or you beat them. I mean, really? Somebody says, we just wear them down.
That's my point. Because being worn down.
Well, I don't agree.
I do. But look at this. When you are doing a shootout, you're taking all that away. I mean, you kick the ball in the top corner, you can never miss. But you always get one moron that tries to fake him out and kick it down the middle, and that's the team that loses.
Well, and then that's no different than a moron being dead tired running. I mean, baseball can handle 22-inning games because those idiots stand around most of the time anyway, and so they can play until hell freezes over.
Wait a second. Hockey players. What about hockey players? Basketball players.
And
none of these games are decided any differently than the way they're started. But since we're talking about basketball, I know you've got one more BS on BS Monday. What do you got?
BS Monday.
Yeah.
I'm, and again, this is the partially substantiated out here in LA, not confirmed, but I believe it's probably true knowing the history. I'm going to call BS on LeBron and Magic for not involving Luke Walton in this process at this point in time. The word is that LeBron has not even spoken with Luke Walton yet, and Luke is the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. And if that's true, Mike, what should they have done immediately when they signed LeBron? What should have been the first thing to happen then if what I just said is true?
Well, I would say that Luke Walton would have a say on who's coming, and Luke Walton would probably call LeBron James right away, or they would have a meeting.
Or if you just fire Luke Walton then.
Yeah, or
because
that.
Obviously,
but I'm saying he's still the coach
exactly,
now.
That's my point, yeah.
So if he's still the coach now, that's what should have happened. I mean, you should have fired him. You're doing a disservice to Luke Walton, who I think is a solid NBA coach. I mean, you might as well just come out and name LeBron the player coach anyways. That's what happened in Cleveland with him and Tyronn Lue. But this is the way the world is now. And the thing is this. You can't really get mad because who's the guy running this? Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson won the World Championship in 1980. 1981, they lose in the first round of the Rockets. He goes to Jerry Buss and says, I want Pat Riley, who at the time I think was an announcer for the Lakers, to be the head coach. I want Paul Westhead out of here. Westhead leaves. They get Riley. So this is what happens in the NBA. If you're Michael Jordan and you don't like Doug Collins, get rid of Doug Collins. They get rid of Doug Collins. They give the guy his way. Now, in those instances, it's hard to argue because it didn't work out. But right now, with LeBron and his history of coaches, there's not much there to go off of. And I agree with you. I think this is complete BS. You either fire the man or you make him part of the process. And since he's not part of the process, he should have already been gone.
Exactly. And I think that, again, it's a disservice to Luke. I do think Luke, is a big part of the restructuring of the Lakers. And he's, gutted it out with these guys and started to meld that team into what will be a good basketball team. As long as the Warriors keep adding strength. Houston may be close to being done. They're reliant, closer to being done than Golden State. But I see the Lakers as a team of the future, and maybe beyond LeBron's even time here. But, to not involve him at all in the process of bringing him in, him not really knowing any more than we're finding out on the grueling truth, which is where the legend speaks, so we know everything. ESPN probably calls us and asks us for information. Not really.
Yeah,
but I just think, okay, they do. All right, you said it. You own the damn thing.
At least twice.
So at least twice, okay. But I just think it's a disservice. I call BS on LeBron and Magic. You guys, he's the coach. He's the one who goes out there and represents your team and dictates what happens on the floor. And if he doesn't have any verbal say-so and the acquisition of players and doesn't have a thought process involved, then, like I said, get rid of him.
All right.
And he'll land on his feet. He'll land on his feet somewhere else real quick. Because Luke Walton's a good young basketball coach.
Steve, all right. You said we were going to keep it to 45 minutes. We're at 44, so I had to quiet you because Steve likes to talk a lot.
All right.
All right. But, Steve, I thought that was a great show today. Robert Brazile, great guest. We'll have him on again, so make sure you keep an eye out on our Twitter page at Survive the Magic or at The Grueling Truth or at Grueling Truth. Go to Facebook and click the like button on the Grueling Truth Facebook page. You can hear us on Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, iTunes, wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth. where the legends speak.